It's that time of the day when we review the papers in Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our daily press review on CAM1 radio. The frequency, of course, is 99.5 FM, and this is the People's Radio. We immediately kickstart this session today with Echo du Parlement, which is out as we speak, and it gives us a retrospective of the June 2024 session as Senator Fonderson questions why the Tico Airport and the Limbe Deep Sea Port projects have not taken off the ground. The Honorable Senior Senator of the Southwest Region took to the Minister of Transport to task during one of its oral sessions, questions plenary sittings that took place at the Senate during the just ended June 2024 ordinary session of Parliament. Senator Papinatu Fonderson told the minister that politicians from the Southwest region are mocked in every political gathering in the region because of the non-realization of the Tico Airport and the Limbe Deep Sea Port projects, despite several announcements that indicated that the projects will soon start. The senator said that the delay of these projects is blamed on the initial feasibility studies that were obsolete, but other studies have recently been conducted, yet there is no sign of work starting on the site. He wonders aloud whether the recent studies carried out will not also become obsolete by the time the projects will be considered for realization. In a very strong tone, the lawmakers said the failed promises look like a game that is being played on the hardworking and peace-loving people of the Southwest region who hold these projects in very high esteem. He also indicated that the people of the Southwest region cannot understand why the head of state, President Paul Biya, has approved these projects to commence, but there is an obvious reluctance on part of those who are responsible to translate the head of state's instructions into concrete action. According to the senator, the economic, social, and political importance of these projects for the Southwest region in particular and Cameroon in general can never be undermined. Still, in his presentation, he noted that the construction of the Limbe Deep Sea Port and Tico Airport projects has been a generational preoccupation of successive politicians who have represented the Southwest region in Parliament over decades. You can read the story today on page 2 of Echo du Parlement. The Dawn is out today. The Dawn talks about transformative community hall construction begins in Kake village. You can read all of that today on the Dawn paper, which is out as we speak. Dynamic Citoyen opens government's can of worms about boreholes. All of this could be read today on the Dawn paper. Also, golden opportunities at the Limbe Vocational Training Center is also highlighted on the Dawn paper as Linafi entrance exams build for August. Also, another must-read story on the Dawn paper. Konye booms with supporting or sporting activities. The Taylor Moore Memorial Foundation football. Page 2 of the Dawn has this story in store for you today, as you can actually acquire the paper, which I understand as we speak. Honorable Etoke football jamboree kicks off with a lot of surprises, as well as the power of cabbage boosting antioxidants for a healthier body is also well stated today on the Dawn paper. The Sun paper is also out today and saying Mullah Chris Yorkshire's on offshore maritime safety training vision for Africa. You can read that story today on page 4 of the Sun. Storm raging through SNH board chair Gongo reslates aborted July 17 extraordinary board meeting for Wednesday, July 24th at the presidency. Is it the end of Mudiki's 31-year reign? Is what the Sun paper questions today on its publications. Backlash over Umfundi's SDO order. Bar Council says outing can incite insurrection and rebellion, annihilates efforts towards democracy, human rights, and freedom. As the SDF also talks about it, tarnishes country's image. Akirimuna also reiterates his point and stands on the subject. Such power doesn't exist even in a state of emergency, as Cabral Libby also has a lot to say about this particular issue. You can read all of these stories today on the Sun paper, which is out as we speak. Rene Emmanuel Sadi warns against use of offensive language on BR is also well stated on the Sun paper. Amical Basa, a US donates borehole to Mokindi village in the Southwest region. You can read all of this today on the Sun paper, as well as Limbe loses bitumen plant. Cameroon maritime lawyer Junior Angabua Cho explains why. Federalist coalition says 2025 presidential elections will be different, and Danish Refugee Council (DRC) in its acronym launches call for partnership. Also, the funeral program of late Mbu Nelson Eyeni is also highlighted on the Sun paper, which is out on the stands as we speak. You can read all about the funeral program today on page 11 of the Sun paper. The Guardian Post is out today. Prime Minister John Gute inaugurates multi-billion simple cement factory in Kribi. That is what the Guardian Post has installed today for us. The Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, has reiterated government's resolve to continue ensuring a conducive environment for the flourishing of private sector investment in the country. He gave the reassurance in the seaside town of Kribi in Ocean Division of the South Region. Friday, July 19th, John Gute was speaking while inaugurating the multi-billion Simple Cameroon SA cement factory on behalf of the head of state, President Paul Biya. Addressing guests at the ceremony attended by all the movers and shakers of the South region, the PM said the Simple Cement Factory is the fruit of an ambitious project that combines political orientations with socio-economic considerations without forgetting technological progress and environmental requirements. You can read all of this story today on page 3 of the Guardian Post. As cocoa prices rise, Man Cocoa Farmers Union thank Biya and promise to pay taxes. Another story which is also well stated by the Guardian Post paper. Sago 2024 API stages confirm on investing in Cameroon's future tomorrow. You can read this story today on page 2 of the Guardian Post paper. And also at ICT for Africa Conference, Obasanjo, ex-Mauritius president, hailed ICT University contribution to digital growth. You can read this story today on page 6 of the Guardian Post paper. The Guardian Post Sunday edition was also out yesterday and said association expels 4 married women suspected to be lesbians in Douala. 3 or 4 of the 4 suspects also sent packaging or packing by their husbands after strong evidence that seriously implicates the accused ladies. Page 6 is where you can read this story today on the Guardian Post paper. Also, Apostle Selman School Christians on forgiveness. Page 9 is where you can read all of these insightful stories. Man caught making love with daughter survives mob justice. Page 8 is, or page 4 is where you can read this story today, or page 8 rather, where you can read this story today. Family discovers corpse of missing relative in Yaoundé mortuary. Page 3 of the Guardian Post Sunday edition. Bamenda, mother three daughters, witch doctor arrested for alleged witchcraft on son's property. Page 5 of the Sunday edition of the Guardian Post is also out. Also, son knocks out father's 2 teeth for beating his mother. You can read this story today on page 5 of the Sunday edition of the Guardian Post paper. Also, man cheats death after girlfriend denied tagged him thief in front of sugar daddy. That is a story today in Douala, which is also on page 8 of the paper. In Yaoundé, a boy throws out girlfriend at ungodly hour for denying him sex. You can read this story today on page 8 of the Sunday edition of the Guardian Post paper. As also in Douala, son transformed family home into a motel. You can read all of this on page 8 still on the Sunday edition of the Guardian Post paper. The Herald Tribune is out as well today. National Offshore Institute of Australia and America Limited CEO Mola Chris York speaks out on vision to transform Africa. You can read this story today on page 6 and 7 respectively of the paper. Camtel Schools 19th batch on personal data protection. Page 3 is where you can read this story today on the Herald Tribune. Also, fruits that aid in weight loss, prevent belly fat, is also something you can read today on the Herald Tribune on page 9 to be much more specific. Reasons younger men are attracted to older women is another astuce, which is also given us today for free on the Herald Tribune on page 10 of its publication. Also, Senate President salutes dedication, efficiency of Florence Awasum as Deputy Secretary General. You can read this story today on the Herald Tribune. After innovation, the Douala Port Authority says 3,000 containers are cleared weekly. You can read this story today on page 5 of the Herald Tribune. Decline in the digital free payment system. MINSEC boss announces nationwide audit in schools. You can read all of this today on the Herald Tribune. The Post is out as well. Prime Minister inaugurates multi-billion simple cement plant, drums import substitution policy. You can read all of this today on page 3 of the Post paper, which is out on the stands as we speak. Maya Estate finally gets letters of administration after long battle. Also, Biden withdraws from U.S. presidential elections and endorses his vice president Kamala Harris. You can read all of this today on the Post paper. Cameroon's system of fighting corruption is like expecting fish to fry itself. Barrister Akeremuna gives an insightful and paints a vivid picture of how Cameroon corruption is like in the country. You can read all of these stories today on the Post paper, more specifically on page 2 of its publication. Also, the Horizon is out today. Glencore, whom did you pay, is the question which has been posed by the Horizon paper today on its publication. PM inaugurates multi-billion simple cement plant is also another must-read story today on the Horizon paper. Restructuring process of NFC Bank and UBC is 90% complete, as Mo Sylvester, Treasury Director General, talks about this story in a full. SNS board meeting rescheduled to Presidential Palace after July 17th flop is something which should be also read today on the Horizon paper. Coalition of Cameroon federalist groups and activists warns of investors boycott of Cameroon intensifies campaign for federalism. You can read all of this today on the Horizon paper. Capital Policy Institute intensifies debate on startup laws. Also, you can read this story today on page 4 of the Horizon paper. Municipal updates is also out today. Enhancing Bia's industrialization vision, the Prime Minister commissions a 50 billion francs worth simple cement factory in Kribi. Page 3 of Municipal Updates gives you all full details of this story. Acclaimed Cameroonian singer Macon releases epic EP Life of a Black Boy is also highlighted on the center page of the Municipal Updates. Monarch Chris York unveils maritime safety training's vision for Africa as he granted an exclusive interview to Municipal Updates. You can read all of this today on the paper. Also, we have other insightful stories today. African Info is also out to report that Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema of Gabon is emulating the example of President Paul Biya of Cameroon in the aspect of governance. You can read all of this on page 3 of African Info. Also, African Info profiles two emblematic figures of the Bassa Mbo Abati clan, Samuel Eto'o and Kabalivi Inger. The two figures being profiled today by African Info. Hebdo Meyomesala is also out today, focuses on the secondary education and the retrospects on the President Paul Biya speech on the 10th of February 2024 on the eve of the Youth Day celebrations, where he said youth in Cameroon are not taking full advantages of the opportunities which have been presented to them in Cameroon. The publisher of Hebdo Meyomesala uses the president's speech to affirm his vision towards the activities of youth in the country, following the recent baccalaureate examination results, whereby the national examination percentage rate of this year's baccalaureate is 37.26%, which is way below average for a country which envisages to see youths as the future leaders of tomorrow. You can read all of this today on Hebdo Meyomesala. Quotidien Realite reports that some Cameroonian contradict the condemnation of the senior divisional officer of Mfundi's publications last week, where Emmanuel Njinget said a category of people will not be allowed to strike or protest in the capital city Yaoundé. According to another faction of the Cameroonian populace, the SDO should be praised and not condemned by professors and the civil servants who misinterpret him. This faction people believe Emmanuel Njinget wants peace, stability, and unity to reign in the country. You can read all of this today on page 2 and 3, respectively, of the Quotidien Realite. Still on Quotidien Realite, the paper reports on the the 3-day field trip of Minister Elundu Esomba, who reassured Cameroonians on the transport dispositives for effective electricity supply in the center and the littoral regions, respectively. New Star paper is also out. The reports that the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, the Celestin Kecha-Cortez, wants to effectively clean up Yaoundé. You can read this on page 7 of the paper. Also, New Star focuses on secondary education, most precisely on the baccalaureate exams, and says it's a shameful result, given that the national percentage success rate is just 37.26%. You can read all of these stories today on a News Star publication, which is out as we speak. Quest Info, or Quest Eco rather, is out today. Reports on the succession problems clouding the progress of the Futsos family. The billionaire mogul who died in 2020, leaving an empire to his name, is on the center page of Quest Info. According to Quest Info, they have been investigating the root cause of the succession problems in the Futsos family. To know everything about this particular problem, you can read this today on the Quest Info, which is out on the stands as we speak. The Grand Forum is also out today. Headlines with the caption, "When social media decides to present the candidature of Henry Eyebe Ayisi in the upcoming presidential elections 2025. According to the Grand Forum, a rumor has been going on stating that President Paul Biya might not run for presidential election and could be potentially replaced by Henry Eyebe Ayisi in his party, CPDM, a Cameroonian politician, diplomat, and a minister who's been seen serving the government in top positions since 2007. But some Cameroonians believe this rumor could just be another political maneuver. You can read all of this today on Le Grand Forum. Le Question is out. The focuses on the 8th edition of the International Artisanal Forum in Cameroon, in its acronym SIAC, where over 15,000 people are awaited at the National Museum in Cameroon. The event is set to kick off on the 22nd to the 31st of July 2024 and will be chaired by the Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises and the Social Economy and Handicraft, Achille Basilican III. Also, the launching of the first phase of the World Dream Investment Project has been scheduled for the 25th of July 2024. The project is aimed at creating an eco-touristic and digital town in Cameroon, and the Sikum Dibamba site has been chosen for this futuristic initiative. You can read all of this today on the paper L'Equation, which is out as we speak. Media Action is also out today, focuses on the Bazu municipality, where the mayor, Dr. Engineer Frederick Jebu's multiple actions on development have been recognized. The validation of the administrative account of the municipality sums up to 684 million francs CFA in Bazu municipality. You can read all of this today on Media Action. Le Montagnard is also out today and reports that the government has been donating grains and agri-products to the farmers of the Far North region as part of its subvention plans to alleviate the poverty rate and promote agriculture in the region. The grains and agri-products are still sold in black markets by the same organizations who have been commissioned to conduct the sharing exercise to farmers in that part of the country. Also, over 6,000 kilometers of road are reported to be in a bad and deplorable state in the Adamawa region. You can read all of this today on Le Montagnard, which is out as we speak. Le Zenith paper is also out with reports that the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Mwelekombi's demand for a budgetary matricule has been declined by the Minister of Finance, Luis Paul Motaze, due to so many reasons and decisions in regards to justice. For example, not recognizing the legitimacy of Bello Boudan as a president of the Cameroon Volleyball Federation. You can read all of this today on the paper Le Zenith, which is out as we speak. Dream Africa paper is out today, focuses on the Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundu Esumba's evaluations on the recent electricity and energy transport project from the Nachigal hydroelectric plant, and also the realization of projects in Yomtu and Nkumu. You can read all of this story today on page 8 and 9, as the stories are very inciting as well. La Croix du Septentrion focuses on the recent report by the World Health Organization concerning road insecurity in Cameroon, as 10% of road accidents in Cameroon are uh, mostly caused by bad state of the roads, as reported by La Croix du Septentrion. Panel is also out today, focuses on sports, most specifically the volleyball finals 2024 at Palais Polyvalent des Sports in Yaoundé. On page 5 and 7 is where you can read this story today on the paper Panel Hebdo. Le Soir shares the same idea as Panel Hebdo and headlines with the caption, "A breathtaking spectacle which illuminates excellence at Feka Volley," focusing on volleyball finals at Palais Polyvalent des Sports. You can read all of this today on Le Soir paper, which is out as we speak. Le Drapeau is also out on the stands as we speak, focuses today on industrialization following the electrification of most neighborhoods in Douala, which is almost at its finished stage. You can read the story today on page 6 of Le Drapeau paper, which is out as we speak. Informal Things out today focuses on the 2023-2024 cocoa campaign, as the producers of cocoa in Cameroon will make over 1,500 billion francs CFA in 2024 alone, as projected by Info Matin paper, which is out as we speak. La Météo is also out today, focuses on the electric energy towards the optimization of the natural hydroelectric plants in Cameroon. Page 4 is where you can read all of this story today on La Météo. Also, the Ministry of Research and Scientific Innovation is currently recruiting and in need of over 102 researchers in the country. You can read this story today on page 2 and 3 respectively of La Météo paper, which is out as we speak. Innovation is also out. Reports that the mayor of Bankim, Angebe Mveng, has launched several developmental projects in his municipality. Page 3 of Innovation is where you can read all of these stories. Le Jour is also out with reports that the Bar Council opposes the senior divisional officer of Mfundi through its president Mba Eric Mba, who has addressed a letter to Emmanuel Mariel Njigdent in the 2-page document signed by the bâtonnier. The order is said to have violated fundamental rights of liberty according to the Constitution of Cameroon. Le Messager is also out today, focuses on a legal affair concerning a consortium of companies of Baba Danpolo and a consortium of companies of state-owned companies in Cameroon. You can read all of these legal proceedings today on page 4 of Le Messager. Also, Le Messager reports that a special magazine consecrated to the activities of the First Lady Chantal Biya has been launched by the English daily paper in Cameroon, The Guardian Post. You can read all of this today on Le Messager paper, which is out as we speak. L'Économie Quotidien is also out to report that the poverty rate has increased in Cameroon for people living with physical disabilities. Page 3 is where you can read this story. Also, a board of directors meeting for the National Hydrocarbons Company, in its acronym SNH, has been scheduled for Wednesday, the 24th of July 2024 at the presidency in Cameroon, most precisely in the political capital Yaoundé. Emergence is also out to the reports on the poor results of baccalaureate national examinations for the academic year 2023-2024. You can read all of this on page 3. Also, the working agenda of the Minister of Water and Energy is highlighted on page 2 of the Emergence paper. Mutation is also out, focuses on education and reports that baccalaureate examinations was a massive failure in Cameroon. Page 5 is where you can read the story today on Mutation. Mutation also reports on the new magazine dedicated to the activities of Chantal Biya by the Guardian Post paper. The very first edition has as caption, Chantal Biya, 30 years of service to humanity. Cameroon Tribune is out today, focuses on industrialization with new cement plant in Kribi in the Ocean Division of the South region. Page 3 is where you can read this story today. Also, 290 billion francs CFA has been reimbursed by the Cameroon government to the treasury as part of its internal debt. You can read this today on page 9 of Cameroon Tribune. L'Info Show is also out today, and L'Info Show compares and contrasts American politics to that of Cameroon and reports that despite the stepping down of President Joe Biden as presidential candidate in the upcoming U.S. elections, Cameroon still remains Cameroon, with President Paul Biya, who has served over 40 years and at the helm of socio-political and economic activities in Cameroon, and will still be running for presidency. That is what the Info Show has in store today for us. L'Économie Quotidien reports that, or rather, La Voix des Jeunes reports on President Joe Biden's political retirement and retreat, which should serve as a message to President Paul Biya. La Voix des Jeunes gives precise details, stating that at 81 years old, the American President Joe Biden, who has just served for one term of 4 years, renounces his candidature for a second mandate, a democratic lesson which for President Paul Biya to emulate, given that he is 92 years old and has been in power for over 42 years. La Lettre de la Bourse focuses on the board of directors meeting at the National Hydrocarbons Company, in its acronym SNH, which was to take place last week, July 17th, but has now been rescheduled for Wednesday, July 22nd. According to La Lettre de la Bourse, there have been tensions escalating ever since the change of date, time, and the site of the meeting, which is to take place this Wednesday at the presidency in Etudi in Yaoundé. Also, La Lettre de la Bourse reports that between the 11th and the 12th of July, some days back, some clients of Orange Money say there were some unexplained withdrawals of money from their respective accounts. You can read all of this today on page 7 of La Lettre de la Bourse. Integration is out as well. Reports that extreme poverty hits Cameroon while neighboring country Chad has its head above water and is quite stable economically. Human rights violations are also highlighted on Integration paper, as prisons in Central Africa are on the radar of the United Nations organization. Sunday 2 paper is also out to the reports and gives updates on the Glencore affair, as Alphonse Mourouki, Assistant Director General of the National Hydrocarbons Corporation, is on the verge of being replaced by the state. You can read all of this story today on Sunday 2 paper, which is out as we speak. L'Indépendant is also out today, and also talks about the SNH board of directors meeting, an extraordinary session geared towards elucidating some certain affairs and the potential replacements of personalities occupying key positions is also on the agenda of the meeting scheduled for Wednesday, July 22nd, as reported by L'Indépendant. Also, some potential candidates such as Jean-Jacques Nkoum, former technical advisor and a retiree from the corporation, and Palais Simon, the current Director General of Tradex, are reported to be key actors who could potentially help the corporation in the nearest future. You can read all of this today on L'Indépendant. The Fille Actuelle is also out as well. Headlines with the caption on its center page: SNH, the fate of Adolphe Mourouki will be sealed this Wednesday. You can read that on page 3. Also, Dr. Andrew Guadok, the promoter of Samba Insurance, is being profiled by the Fille Actuelle on page 4 of its publications today on the paper. And it is with the Fille Actuelle that we end this edition today of the press review on the CAM1 radio. Ladies and gentlemen, the frequency I will always reach with is FM 99.5 FM, and I was your humble presenter, Comrade Charles Sabane. See you tomorrow, same time, same place on this particular network. Yeah.